Hi Aries, welcome to your April 2020 General Tarot reading. It's Serena here. Happy birthday to those of you who are born under the sign of Aries. I'm actually recording this on the day that the sun is going into Aries. So that is a welcome time. Just full disclosure, I'm picking new cards because when I laid out the cards, I had the deck upside down, so they were all reversed, and I have a rule that I don't do readings like that. Some people would say, oh, well, that's how it was supposed to be, but I do believe in human error as well, and it's okay for there to be reversed cards. Sometimes the reversed cards are actually more positive than the upright cards, but it's something that it's kind of a mixture of doing things the right way, and then if there are reverse cards, accepting that. So just wanted to make that clear. Picking an additional card for clarification. Okay, now see, there's a reversed card, and I'm going to keep it there. And okay, so this is a general reading, but it's also general focus. So I don't kind of just talk about one topic. In this particular reading, it does seem to go along with a personal matter, like a personal relationship. So please forgive me if I spend a lot of time on that. It's possible that it can be a workplace situation. Of course it can. The Two of Swords, regardless of what's going on for you, suggests that you're at a fork in the road, and that you have to make a decision. This is the central theme, and the person's eyes are blindfolded, so they may not be really looking at everything that is involved in this decision that they're making. So that can suggest denial, not being willing to acknowledge that there are certain things that are going on, and certainly with these types of relationships, sometimes this is certainly the case where a person knows deep down maybe that a relationship isn't really good for them, but they want that relationship for whatever reason. Actually, if this is a personal relationship in the past position, Six of Swords suggests maybe even having left some other situation, and now you're still dealing with more decisions because you were trying to get away from a situation that was inharmonious, thinking maybe that you were, like if this was another person, if you were going from one person to another, that this other person would provide you peace, because the Six of Swords is about choosing peace and going towards peace. And it's like jumping from the frying pan into the fire, that sort of thing, because the higher message is the Three of Cups, and this could be saying this person that you decided to choose is, not faithful, is, maybe a party animal. They like to drink a lot, they like to go to the bar, they like to flirt and maybe go home with somebody, and you didn't, you went from one negative situation to another, and so now it's like making another choice. That could certainly be what's going on. And as the higher message, is this a pattern? Is this something that you have found has followed you? Because There's a saying and there's a book with this title. With that title. And it's called Wherever You Go, There You Are. So the Six of Swords can be like, I'm not happy where I am. There's a lot of drama where I am, so I want peace, and I'm going to go over here. And especially if somebody's jumping from one relationship to the other, there's this sense of not really being able or willing to simply spend time by yourself and not be like jumping from one thing to the other. Aries is the kind of sign, especially if you have Venus in Aries as well, where you're easily bored with relationships, especially when they get very day-to-day, like kind of, I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean, routine. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but just like, it's just like things have settled down. It's not, you don't have that euphoria anymore. You're just kind of like, just functioning. Maybe you're married or living with that person and you have a lot of practical considerations. It's not just about these stolen moments, especially if, I almost get the feeling for some people that this was a, this could be like in the process of happening, maybe it hasn't happened yet, where you've kind of, you're deciding between leaving or, staying with somebody who's doing this. So maybe, this is your current situation, or that you left a relationship that was having its own problems and you've, like I said, jumping from the frying pan into the fire, and you know that you have to make a decision, but you just don't know what you're going to do. And if this is in the workplace, it can be the same thing where you thought, I have to leave this environment, my work environment, because it's just very unpleasant, and you ended up getting the same coworkers in a new environment. How does that happen? How does that happen that I have the same coworkers? I'm seeing the people around the water cooler with the Three of Cups. How does that happen? Because it's within you, and you're kind of like the seed, you're the attraction, the point of attraction for whatever is going on, and it looks like it's happening outside. It looks like it's happening to you, but it's actually a part of you. Anyway, I'll just keep going. What crosses you is the Seven of Swords, and this is a card about like kind of, it can have different interpretations. One of them, the Seven of Swords in the upright position, is about strategizing or leaving in a way that's very clever, very discreet. When this card is in reverse, you might be like kind of exposing, showing all your cards, pardon the pun. You might be, Aries people tend to be very open about things. They don't really do the kind of things that the Seven of Swords suggests. So if they're going to leave a situation, instead of being discreet, they are very like, okay, I'm leaving, very open about it. And in some cases, they're giving too much credit to the people that they work for, the people above them, that they are going to accept this and be like, wish them well, that they're not going to be punitive. And so it's very important that people who have this tendency learn to be more discreet, because you don't want to burn any bridges. You don't want somebody who feels scorned to take it out on you. And that's unfortunately what can happen, because the other party may feel like they have the right to kind of prevent you from succeeding at whatever you're trying to do when you're leaving. If this is a personal relationship, something similar. It may be like whether you were the one to leave your prior relationship in order to be with somebody that you thought was going to be an improvement in your life, or whether the other party was the one that left their spouse or their relationship for you and you realize that it's not going to happen. That other person, especially if they left another relationship, they may feel like this sense of, how dare you, even though they're acting out in the relationship. This is one of the reasons why when somebody is attached and they are coming on to you, you have to question that, because they may tell you this story, the other person is so bad and they don't understand them, but they are willing to cheat. They're willing to go outside of their relationship instead of just leaving that relationship. Sometimes you know that it's complicated, they have kids or some other thing, but the bottom line is that you shouldn't be surprised if that person is kind of hiding some of their negative qualities when you finally get to be with them 24/7 and realize that. So you have to really be cunning. I think that's what the Seven of Swords represents here. And you may be too, much an open book where you give away your strategy. And it's not about trying to be sneaky or anything like that. It's trying to extricate yourself from the situation as cleanly as possible. Oh yeah, okay. Guess what, Aries, in April, talk about astrological situations going on, we are having a full moon in Libra, your opposite sign, on April 7th. I think it's at 18 degrees, but don't quote me on that. So that could be a time when that's going to be, in general, not in everybody's chart, but that could be in your 7th house of committed relationship. So that can be a time where you decide to call it quits if you are experiencing problems. However, it can also be a time where you just realize something about that person. So it might be, the thing that you realize might be in terms of their own, behavior that's sketchy. So that might be what that card represents too, is that you're dealing with somebody who isn't being straight with you. And so the decision is really not that hard if you are willing to see the truth of the situation. What's coming in is represented by the Five of Pentacles. This can also be advice. Look at attitudes within yourself, Aries, that are very lack consciousness oriented. Usually Aries is like completely the positive thinker and so on and so forth. This may be just for certain Aries people, where, if you have inner planets in Pisces, which is a sign adjacent to you, so that's always a possibility. And then you may be a little bit less confident. You may be a little bit more indecisive, like the Two of Swords. And of course, your moon sign can be any sign, including Libra, which is known for indecisiveness, or Gemini, or, Pisces, Cancer, what have you. So look at what you tell yourself about life, because that can create a sense of lack consciousness. By the way, for some of you, that full moon is going to actually fall in your 6th house, and that will be related to your workplace. So that could be like real, finding out something about coworkers, or ending your work, like the 6 of Swords, going away. But it could be like learning what's really going on with those people that are at the workplace, and maybe they're even acting like you're their best friend and stuff like that, but you find out otherwise. So I picked this card as an outcome, but it's not the kind of card that I feel it forms a resolution. The outcome is the 5 of Wands, which can be conflict, it can be competition. I feel like, here we have 2 5s. Five is a number that's connected to Mercury, and it indicates a lot of change. You could even say volatility in a certain way with the 5 of Wands, because it's fire energy, so there's that wild quality to it. And so these 2 cards can indicate change, but it may be change that feels like you have to kind of get a handle on it, because it's very hard to contain. And I feel like this time of year, when the sun is in Aries, that things do get quite combustible, or heated. Even people's nature, behavior can get aggressive and things like that. So that may be what's reflecting that. And you have to, because this is your, default way of acting yourself, Aries. So you have to find it within yourself to be able to chill out and be the voice of reason, regardless of what your decision. Because let's say you tell your boss, you give them your 2-week notice, and they're like, how can you do this to us? We are, we're struggling. And these are the people that didn't care when you told them that you were being targeted or kind of marginalized by your coworkers, or bullied, whatever you want to call it. And they didn't seem to care. And when you threaten to quit, and all of a sudden it's your fault. So you have to be the voice of reason, the person that's not going to get triggered by other people's kind of like, if they're surprised if you're doing something like that. And same with your love life, being more of the steady hand, which is kind of like the role that is not necessarily something that you are normally. You're normally very emotive and in your face or transparent. So that, with the 7 of Swords, you may have to be a little bit more detached and not willing to just kind of like get into something with other people, because they have their own reasons for what they do, but it doesn't make them right just because they think that way. And you have the right to your opinion. You have the right to live life as you see it. So, don't be afraid of doing that. And the outcome is the 9 of Cups in reverse. But this is one of those cards that's very positive, that even in the reversed position, it's really positive. The 9 of Cups in the upright position is wish fulfillment. In the reversed position, it can be self-indulgence. This can mean that you get what you want in some capacity, but maybe not everything that you want. Maybe it's a partial victory in a sense. And because of this, there has to be the respect given to being able to see that with other decisions that you make, especially if the Two of Swords represents a very specific decision, you can have everything that you want, but you're in a good place, and that's the important thing. And as time goes on and you decide how you're going to proceed, things will fall into place. Okay, that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that you resonated with this. If you would like a private reading, if you'd like a look at the year ahead with your natal chart, I do those. You can have just the transits or the combination of looking at the natal chart itself and also some important transits. The link is below. Have a great month. Bye.